Why I Believe in God. A Personal Exploration. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our channel. Today, I want to delve into the topic of why I believe in God. This question, in one form or another, has been a constant presence in society, whether in ancient times or in the modern world. Believing in God transcends mere fashion or ancestral heritage. It's the key to a fulfilling life here on earth, and the gateway to the true life beyond earthly death. Faith isn't confined to religious rituals. It's fortified through communion with God and witnessing His actions in our lives. Regardless of the tumult around us, faith in God provides hope and strength to press onward. Why do I believe in God? Because it's a gift that imbues my life with purpose and ensures my confidence in the future. Let's discuss. Why do you believe in God? Throughout different periods of history, the ever-changing trend of attitude is towards God and something more sublime than mere monetary gain, and breakfast discussions has dictated its views. From widespread religious devotion and the pervasive influence of the church in societal life, as seen in medieval Europe, for instance, to complete denial of the existence of the spiritual world and God, the destruction of churches and synagogues, ridicule and condemnation of those who disagree with the accepted party line. Indeed, upon rational reflection, one comes to understand that the essence of certain things and concepts remains unchanged regardless of the season or differences in opinion. Goodness, kindness, generosity, compassion remains good, evil, hatred, envy, greed remains evil. Similarly, in the matter of God, does anything diminish from Him if He is not acknowledged? Does He become any less? Does He cease to love people, even those who may be misguided? The answer to all three questions is no. So, why do I believe in God? Perhaps it's worth examining this question, delving deeper into its intricacies. Let's approach it, as is customary, in the Jewish tradition, from right to left. Why do I believe in God? To begin with, it's essential to understand which God we're referring to and whether it's appropriate to label an abstract cosmic intelligence, the popular extraterrestrial aliens, Greek Zeus, Egyptian Ra, the flying spaghetti monster, and so forth as God. When I speak of God, I'm not referring to amorphous forces of nature, but to the specific personality of the Creator who fashioned the surrounding world, defined its motion according to physical and other laws, and endowed the beings inhabiting it with life and intelligence. That very God who advised Noah to build the ark before the flood, who spoke with Abraham and called him his friend, who sent Moses to lead my people out of slavery in Egypt. In general, the list could go on. Speaking of the reality of the Jewish God could take endlessly, even without delving into academic theology, based solely on a series of facts. The pantheons of gods of ancient and magnificent peoples, such as the Egyptians, Assyrians, Babylonians, and even the Greeks and Romans, are dead along with the glory of their nations. Yet the invisible God of the Jews, alongside His small and much suffering, arguably with the most impressive and rich history among others, people, lives on. Moreover, it's not just a matter of God merely existing within His own people, but to a certain extent, the majority of the world's population is acquainted with that very God of Israel. Both Christianity and Islam are nothing but consequences of the spread of Jewish monotheism, the prophetic revelation of the Jewish God to all nations. When I say that I believe in God, what do I mean? From a mundane, literal standpoint, today we are surrounded by believers everywhere. You could ask anyone on the street if they believe in God, and the answer would most likely be affirmative. But what meaning is embedded in the word believe? To believe means to agree that some God exists somewhere up high beyond the clouds. And although Yuri Gagarin didn't spot him, maybe he's still up there just hiding. Or perhaps this God doesn't dwell in the heavens but resides in my apartment, in the corner where the iconostasis stands, where another icon of Mother Mary with Jesus sheds tears before the lit candles. Or maybe he, this God, has nestled behind the dusty curtain of the ark in the synagogue, lurking there next to the Torah scrolls, and we are all very happy to see him on Simchat. Torah, when we take out the Torah, dance around it, and consider it a joy to touch the scrolls, thus touching God. Can phrases like "I believe in God" and "I believe in Aunt Sonia" be correlated? Well, why not? After all, I agree that they both exist, although my neighbor Aunt Sonia seems somewhat closer, but God is also there. Absurd. Yet it turns out to be the case for many. Perhaps hidden within the word "believe" is something greater, something that God expects from each individual. I believe in God, of course. What kind of questions are these? But maybe I believe more in my uncle from Kiev, my aunt from Montreal, the president, the opposition, the paper American Lincolns and Washingtons, and ultimately in myself. Who do I rely on? Where is the foundation, the cornerstone of my confidence in today and tomorrow? Am I building the house of my life on rock or on sand? Will it withstand the difficult times, the hours of financial and emotional crises, the times of betrayal and depression, the periods of sorrow and imprisonment from which no one is immune? Faith is not an abstract philosophical concept. Faith is not a primitive folk equivalent of the word religion. Faith is a property of the human soul, endowed by the Almighty, a property that gives humans the ability to communicate with God, to see Him in everything that surrounds you. Faith is the sole key to a fulfilling life here on earth, and to the revelation of true life after earthly death. When I pray for something and receive an answer, it strengthens and reinforces my faith in God. When I witness the healing of the sick, the transformation of characters, and the restoration of broken relationships and families, it bolsters my faith. When in dire circumstances it seems like the battle is lost and there's no hope, yet God's answer comes at the very last moment, providing help and salvation. I can believe, I can breathe, and live by faith. Why do I believe in God? Is it because it's trendy? Because it's not? Because my ancestors did so? Because they didn't? Because I've worn a cross around my neck since childhood? Because of the Star of David? As they say, true love is when you love not for what, but in spite of. A similar perspective can be applied to the question of faith in God. Do I believe in Him for something? Am I willing to believe in Him and trust Him only for certain actions, particularly those that are convenient and desirable to me, like asking for $1 million and then finding a bag of cash under my bed, asking for a groom and then hearing the sound of a white horse's hooves with a prince? Or am I capable of contemplating faith in God as a belief in spite of public opinion, in spite of the modern trend towards humanism, and at least a flippant compromising attitude towards the Bible and His commandments, in spite of what happens in my life that may seem bad to others, and sometimes even to myself? Yes, also in spite of what may seem good, because I'm inclined to forget about God altogether when everything in my life goes smoothly, without any problems. Maybe, by the way, problems arise in my life so that I, so to speak, don't relax and don't forget about the one who is the root cause of everything. And finally, for the skeptics and critics, including myself, at the beginning of my acquaintance with Him, someone great once said, "If I have believed in God my whole life, and after death it turns out He doesn't exist, then I lose nothing. But if I didn't believe in Him, and after death it turns out He does exist, then I lose too much." Why do I believe in God? Well, why not? Write in the comments why you believe in God, and subscribe to our channel to help us spread the good news about God.